Hi, everyone. Kate Byers, founder of Corporate Women Unleashed, excited to come to you for today's live broadcast where we are talking about all or nothing work habits, mindset. Put a 1 in the comments if that's you. Come on, you know you are. A lot of us high achieving women, it is all or nothing. Let me explain, because that is not going to work for any sort of quality of life. And ultimately, at this point in your career, it really detracts from your ability to be a high value player. So let me explain. If you are someone who is a high achiever, typically what happens is you are driven to a goal. Are we not? Again, put a 1 in the comments below if this sounds like you. So you're driven to the goal. You want to get to this thing. I don't care if it's in your health. I don't care if it's in your marriage or, dating, if it's in your career, but you're trying to get to the goal. And you have this tendency to say, wait a minute, let me clear my desk. Let me sit down here and let me work on whatever it is, this presentation, right? Or if you're going to go to the gym, oh, wait, I'm already 5 minutes late for class. I might as well not go at all because I can't get the full hour in. All or nothing, right? Or maybe it's, in your relationship, it's, well, if my husband's not going to fully participate in planning the weekend activities, then I just won't even ask him to do anything. We'll just sit home this weekend. All or nothing, right? So we tend to have this all or nothing. And the reason is that high achievers, we love to solve problems and we want to do things really, really, really well. But ultimately, what's going on beneath the surface is we have a fear that unless it's all, then it's not going to be good enough. And if it's not good enough, high achievers don't like it. Does that sound familiar? So what happens is we just skip the workout. We skip the lovely weekend with our family because we're not willing to compromise and our husband's ticking us off. We don't, we stay late at the office because rather than getting in 30 minutes of working on your presentation in the day, you punk around on email, make a few more phone calls, and you wait until you've got 4 hours at night where you can work from 6 to 10 in your office to get things done, right? Okay, you don't need to be burning the midnight oil at this point in your career, not for things like that. Occasionally, you're going to have to work at night again at the executive level because meetings come up, fires happen, but it should not be an everyday occurrence and you should not be all or nothing because what's happening is you're missing out on smelling the roses, enjoying your life and getting things done. Think about it. How often have you been in the shower or taking a walk or you've actually allowed your mind to disconnect and you go, oh, that's how I should solve that problem. Oh, wait a minute. That's a better idea. Why don't I write that in my presentation instead? Happens all the time, right? Have you ever done that and go like, why are my best ideas in the shower? Well, because you're actually you've allowed your brain to simmer on something. So when we have this all or nothing mentality, what happens is unless the idea is given birth in that 4-hour time period, or you're just you're so forced to get it done and you're drawing a blank slate, it doesn't happen because we believe in what we've told ourselves as a coping mechanism is, well, I work better when I'm at night, or I work better when I can have peace and quiet, or I can't work when there's interruptions. I get too distracted. Well, guess what? That is learned behavior and you can unlearn that because what you need to be doing every single day, and it's sort of like a dance, right? You're dancing through the day. Okay, what are my priorities? What's the thing I really need to do first thing in the morning? You think it's going to be X. You get to the office, Y gets thrown into your face. Great, I'll do Y, and then I'm going to go do X. Oh, but wait, now I don't have 90 minutes to do X. As you look at your watch, I have 15 minutes. Great, you still jump into X. Why? Because it gets your brain juiced for whatever that is. I don't care if it's a presentation. Sit down and pick out the PowerPoint slide, template you're going to use. That's one thing you got done. Sit down and think of the title. Sit down and just scrape down some notes from the top of your head. Boom, 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 for 15 minutes. You have to learn at this level in your career to get in, to get out, to be mentally agile, to not be worried about, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, if I don't have 4 hours to do this presentation, I can't write it. Of course you can. You've been writing presentations for 15 years. You can do this in 15 minutes. Oh my God, if I can't practice my speech 8 days in advance, I won't be able to give it. Of course you can. You've been giving speeches over and over again, right? And so what happens is we have these mechanisms, these patterns of behavior that have been built on top of fear. Right? Because when you first started your career, you were terrified the first time you had to give a speech. You were terrified the first time you turned in a brand new presentation because you weren't sure, am I doing this right? Am I going to do a good job? 15 years in, we're still working under those same patterns of behavior, right? We're still going, oh my God, am I still doing a good job? And you may not be thinking that upstairs, but your patterns of behavior are still operating in the same way. If I don't have 4 hours to work on this, I can't do it. And it's really funny for us because this comes up a lot with clients we work with. They come in to work with us and we'll get a note from them maybe a week in occasionally. And they're like, oh my gosh, I can't find time to do what I need to be doing with you guys. And it's like, what do you mean you can't find time? It takes like 15 minutes a day what we teach. It's not like you don't have to like sit down and that's what they're doing. They're like sitting down, clearing their desk, telling their children to go away on a Saturday afternoon because they're going to, work with us and do some of the things we ask them to do. And we're like, no, no, never, never. 15 minutes a day. That's all it takes, because what we're doing is we're rewiring behavior. We're rewiring thought patterns. We're rewiring how they operate and those go-to messages, both in your head and physically. And so if you don't work on it a little bit each day, you can't do that. But here's the thing that's so genius about it is when you learn to just come in and touch something and not have to do it full bore, for 90 minutes, 2 hours, 4 hours, what happens is your brain gets to noodle on it, right? And that is a sweet spot, especially at the executive level or any sort of senior level. You need noodle time. And women tell me all the time, Kate, I don't have any time to be strategic. Well, that's because it's how you're working. You need to come in, touch the problem, read over it. What is the problem you're trying to, that you're faced with? What is the challenge that you're supposed to be solving? What is the presentation that you're supposed to be writing? Whatever it is, you go in, you look at it, you noodle on it, and then you go about your day. What do you think is going to happen the rest of the day? You're going to be thinking about it. You're going to have an idea. You just write it down or speak into your phone and leave yourself a note. And then you're going to drive home at night and you'll still be noodling on it. But what happens is we have such fear, it's like the science project when you're a kid, I got to do the science project. You remember? And you'd have this grand idea of how you're going to do the science project. And it's going to be major and you were going to win the blue ribbon. And you would wait 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 because you couldn't find time to do it. And then you finally did it the night before. You had 2 hours and then you just pulled out some crappy thing just to get it done so you wouldn't fail at the science fair. Do you remember this? This happens a lot for high achievers. We're still operating under that same modality and you can't do that anymore. At this level, you got to get in, get out, get in, get out, touch it here. Now I'm going to do 2 pages. Now I'm going to do an outline. Now I'm going to write a review. Now I'm going to, whatever it is, you just touch things. That's it. And I do this all the time. And I actually do it now on purpose. So I think it was last week, I had a training that I was preparing and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to tell my kids and my husband that I need the night to work. And then I'm like, oh, well, that sounds like an old pattern you've gotten rid of, Kate. And I said, and I didn't. I said, Kate, you're totally capable. You know what this training needs to be. And I thought about it for a few minutes. I just sort of centered myself before the end of my day. Thought about what the high points needed to be, what I wanted the outcome to be for the training, who my audience was, just the major high points, the strategic pieces, got that in my head. Cool. That was all I needed to do. Then I slept on it. Guess what your brain's doing at night? It's considering these things, not in a sleepless way, but you're continuing to churn. Got up the next morning and I had a new, fresh perspective. And I dug in and I wrote the title and the first few frames of this presentation I needed to write this training. And then I got up and I went and walked my dog. And you're thinking, what? Oh my gosh, Kate, I had the training to deliver that day. Nope. And then I came back and then I worked on it for another 30 to 45 minutes. And then I got up and had a cup of coffee. And then I came back 15 minutes later and I wrote another 30 minutes. And you might think, wow, that's so disruptive. I can't do that. I don't like interruptions. I'm not saying that you want to sit at your desk with an open door to a noisy office and just allow your team to walk in and out and ask questions. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you close your door for 30 minutes, you touch it, and then you walk back out and you go handle the next thing you need to handle, whether it's a meeting or a phone call or an email, whatever, right? And then you come back maybe in the afternoon, you do another 45 minutes. And you will find, I promise, when you start operating this way, more energy, you're actually going to have a better output, right? Because you're actually giving your brain to think in the way it needs to think. You're going to be so far more creative and you're going to go home every night with energy because instead of sitting there just slogging through the day or filling up your day with empty stuff, because you're like, oh, I only have 15 minutes. I might as well just do email, which is email is the death of everyone's productivity. You can spend that 15 minutes actually doing something that is productive and that's going to get you farther along with the high value stuff that you need to be doing. Right? But again, you have to understand that all of this is happening beneath the surface. This is from age-old patterns of fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear that I'm going to have mistakes in my work, fear that I'm not up to challenge, and so it's just this over preparation and this, oh, I've got to clear my plate and I can't have interruptions. And that is just baloney. That is just baloney. So if you've learned this pattern of behavior, you can learn a new pattern of behavior. It's got to be consistent. And you've got to really understand that you've got to break out of those fear-based patterns because what a lot of people will do is when they give you a solution to have like be more effective in the office, or time, you see this a lot in like time efficiency studies and people who teach like time efficiency, they're teaching you a methodology that sits on top of a psychological problem. Okay. So as long as the psychological problem is still there, the fear, I'm not good enough, I'm failing, I'm going to disappoint someone in the audience, you know, this presentation will be crappy and I'll be seen as a low value, you know, I won't be a high value contributor anymore, like all these fear-based things that are in our head. As long as you set a strategy on top of your the psychological belief, all you do is you get a strategy that works sometimes. And that's why if any of you have tried like time management pieces, calendar management, meditation, mindfulness, all those things, they're wonderful. I mean, they're wonderful tools, especially if you put them on top of a brand new psychology, which says, I am fully capable and I can do this. Now what happens is it works and it's sustainable. But as long as we're just covering up fear with a new strategy, it just doesn't work long term. And that's why so many women who work with us, they're like, Kate, I want freedom for life, not just freedom for the next week, right? And that's because we help them cure this piece. So if you don't get rid of the fear or the concern or the worry or the anxiety or the overanalyzing or whatever you want to call it, whatever word works for you, then what happens is that strategy is just sort of like, oh, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It worked on Tuesday, it didn't work this time. And then what we do is we create these coping mechanisms. That doesn't really work for me. Oh, it worked for Sally, it won't work for me. Oh, well, it's because I work in the accounting industry. Oh, it's because I work in the marketing industry. It's because I work in the client service side industry. It's because I work in HR. Like, you know, and then we create all these coping mechanisms of why it won't work for you. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the root issue isn't being dealt with. And then the overarching strategy or the new change in behavior that you're trying to get doesn't work. And it's the same way we see this in diets, right? Like if you've ever tried to lose weight. So, you know, some of what we've got to deal with is this fear of, you know, whatever's going on is why you're eating this way. You're eating this way to fill your needs. You're eating this way because it's the way your family is always connected. And so it means something to you. You're eating this way because you're stressed. So if you don't deal with the underlying psychology, then all you're doing is trying to force yourself on a diet. And oh my God, I'm starving and I want to eat my left arm because I'm so hungry. And if you don't have trainers and dietitians and food meal delivery service, you can't do it. And that's because we've never addressed the underlying issue, which is, why are you overeating to begin with? Because your needs aren't getting met, because you don't know how to handle stress, because you have a pattern of behavior from your childhood. So it's the behavior piece that's always going to get you to the result you want, not just trying a new way. Does that make sense? Anyways, so yeah, all or nothing, just it's just so ineffective. And the other thing it does is, you know, again, as you get into the more senior levels of your career, people aren't looking for you to get the job done. They're looking for you to, you know, understand and change how it gets done. So how are we going to be more effective as an organization? How are we going to be more effective as a department? How are we going to be more effective in our leadership? How are we going to be more effective with the clients? And so being effective isn't just getting it done. It's not clearing your plate and going, okay, everyone, we've got to just get this done with like tunnel vision. It's how we do it. How are we going to operate as a department, as a division? And I mean, think about the ramifications to your team. Holy heck. If you're there at night, burning the midnight oil till midnight, what do you think they're doing? They're at home, you're feeling horrible that they're at home and you're at the office, or they're right there with you, right? And so now nobody has quality of life. Nobody's enjoying this career experience. And as usual, women are burning out, leaving before we ever rise up in our careers because we can't figure it out. Well, change that inner thought pattern and change that inner fear, and the sky's the limit, because now you can operate and move around the cabin in a myriad of ways. There's so many different ways to operate differently in your career, and women can't see it. And that's the real shame and what we want to change. So I hope this presentation was great for you. If it was, leave a comment below, tag someone else that you know, even if you're watching this, you know, in a recording afterwards. There is a woman out there, I promise you, who needs to hear this message. Help her out by tagging her or forwarding it to your network so someone else can get the benefit of this as well. And if you are a high achieving woman, if you're an executive woman, if you're someone who's just struggling through your career and you know that success was supposed to be a lot more fun than it is, and you're not feeling like you're getting the fruits of your labor, then watch our presentation. We have a presentation that goes through the 4 strategies that I teach over and over again to high achieving women, which is exactly what you need to do to create freedom in your career. We'll link it below. Just take a listen to it. You have to register. If for some reason you can't watch the time that it's at, just register anyways, and we'll send you a copy of it. You can watch in your pajamas or with your Saturday morning coffee. So again, my name is Kate Byers. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next week at our next broadcast. Bye, guys.